Hello! Alright, doodles, apple strudels. This is your science, whatever lesson this is, for Friday, September 27th, 2024. I'm your teacher, Miss Smith. My email is tsmith@lsoa.org and my number is 682-777-9474. Yeah. Let's get this party started. What makes you you? That's your warm-up question. What makes you special? What makes you unique? Maybe it's your sense of style. Maybe it is how awesome you are, how friendly you are. Maybe it is maybe you can wiggle your ears. I don't know. What makes you you? You're going to answer this question on the next page on a collab board. So here you go. What makes you you? There we go. You'll be able to answer this question. Just so you know, you won't be able to do the video or the GIFs or the GIFs, whatever they want to call it. But you can do the recording if you want to record your answer, or you can type your answer, however you want to share. Type or record, you can do that. So today we are going to explore how inherited traits in plants and animals influence their survival in various environments, and describe how the impact of environmental changes such as floods, and droughts have on these organisms. So we've talked about environments for the last 2 weeks, and we've talked about how different type of maybe not like floods and droughts can impact environments, but we talked about how pollution impacts environment. We talked about other things that impact environment. So as we're talking, as you're going through the lesson, think back, use your, here's the science, ELA word, schema, to see if you can, see if it helps you understand our lesson better. So once you have your Nearpod, you're going to be able to play a quick video about inherited and adapted traits. I'm not going to play it here because whenever I do, sometimes it gets a little wonky. So you'll be able to play it on your own once you get your Nearpod link. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 vocabulary words. A lot of the vocabulary words that my brain is braining today, my friends, that we have, you just learned about in the video. The first one is acquired traits. Traits that we learn or get over time. So these are traits that we are not born with. And actually, I'm going to jump to this one because we are talking about where you're going to use this word right here, trait, a lot. Traits are special qualities or characteristics that make us who we are. So they are special qualities or characteristics that make us who we are. So acquired traits are traits that we learn or get over time. They're not things that we are born with. Behavior. The typical action of a person, animal, or thing or group, either in general or in certain situations. Hibernation. To sleep through the winter in a den or burrow to save energy. Inherited trait. These are traits that are passed down from our parents to us. So this is something you are born with. It's in your DNA. It's in you. Migration, the act or process of moving from one region to another. Physical trait, your physical characteristics, like your hair color, your eye color. Now, some physical traits can be changed. Like, I can change my hair color. I can put in contacts to change my eye color. But were those traits that I was born with if I change my hair color? No. Like, my hair color is not, that's not the natural hair color I was born with. No, if I put in contacts, that's not the natural trait, physical trait that I was born with. Now, I can change some of my physical traits, like changing my hair color or changing my eye color by wearing contacts, which, I don't wear contacts. But I can, some physical traits can be changed. Other physical traits, not so much. Give me 1 second. Let me erase my board. And grab my pointer. Yeah, let me pause really quickly and adjust my... Okay, I'm back. So everything has a trait. So what makes our world unique is that everything around us has traits. And a trait is a characteristic of living things. If we look at our pictures, animals, they all have traits. We as humans all have traits. Even plants have traits. They all have things that make them unique. It's not just us as humans who have traits. Everything has a special trait that makes it unique. A trait is a distinguishing characteristic. For examples, hair color, size. Are you short? Are you tall? Are you short? Are you short like Miss Smith, or are you tall? What is your eye color? All of those are examples of traits. Are you shy? Or are you outgoing? Those are examples of traits. What distinguishes you is a trait. Some traits are inner traits, like shy, outgoing. Some are outer traits, like hair color, eye color, tall, short. Different types of traits. Traits can be physical and describe how something looks, or it can be internal, like, or what the internal structure is like. Examples of physical traits are ears, the shape of our eyes, the texture of our hair, or even the structure of our heart. Those are all physical traits. Some other types of physical traits: outer coverings, the size of a seed, the shape of a leaf, the texture of hair, the color of a flower, or eye color. Traits can be behavioral, describing the way people or animals act. Some of these traits are innate, meaning we are born with them. However, some behavioral traits can be learned. For example, learned behavioral traits are learning to speak a language, learning to ride a bike, learning to play soccer. So, if you think about how some behavioral traits that are innate within us as we are born, a spider weaving its web, whatever this animal is. My brain is beyond done and I can't think of it, like the animal. Digging his burrow. Birds flying south for the winter, or even just flying in a specific pattern for protection. Bears hibernating. I wanted to say migrating. hibernating over winter. Birds building nests. Dogs panting. I forgot to cool down. Those are all behavioral traits. That's not a behavioral trait, I think. But all of these are behavioral traits. They're innate within them. For us as humans, some behavioral traits that are innate with us, within us. Learning how to eat. Like, to a certain point, like, as itty bitty sweet little babies, we didn't have to read a book, or someone didn't have to read a book to us saying, okay, sweet little baby Miss Smith, because yeah, that totally was my name ever since I was a baby, Miss Smith. Okay, sweet little baby Miss Smith, let me read you a book so that you know how to read, how to eat, drink your bottle. No. Like, someone had to put a bottle in my mouth, but I knew after 3 seconds, like, Miss Smith was like, oh, okay, food. We know how to eat. Someone might have to bring the food to us when we're babies, but we kind of figure it out really, really quickly. Those are innate within us. And then those learned behavioral traits, like learning to speak, learning to ride a bike, learning to play soccer, learning to maybe not like reading or like math, but learning how to do math, learning to develop a growth mindset. Right there. All of those are behavioral traits that we can learn, we can grow, we can build on. I'm going to erase my screen. Learning how to get better with technology. Right here. A behavioral trait Miss Smith is working on. Woo-woo. I know you miss me right now, don't you? So different types of traits. Traits can be inherited, which means they are coded in our DNA and are passed down from our parents. Many inherited traits are physical, such as our blood type, our ear shape, the shape of our ears, our height. Because I'm totally tall, the tallest. Not at all. Some inherited traits are behavioral, like the instinct to hunt, to migrate, to build a nest for some animals. Like, obviously, I didn't learn the ability to build a nest or to hunt, and I haven't migrated anywhere. Lost my train of thought. Acquired traits develop over time. You are not born with them. These are things that you learn, that you will learn as you grow. So two things can be true at the same time. You can have both inherited and acquired traits. Physical traits can be both inherited and acquired. Behavioral traits can be both inherited and acquired, such as migration and playing soccer. You might I have my thought. Your parents might have been really, really, really good at soccer. Might have been like superstar soccer players. So you might have gotten some talent from your parents, but you also might have acquired some skill over time. Some traits are both inherited and acquired. For human, give me 1 second, Pouty wants to get out. Some traits are both inherited and acquired. For human skin color, it is a combination trait that can be both inherited and acquired. inherited. Skin color is passed down from biological parents to their children and is coded in your DNA. That means it is already, you're born with this skin color. But it's acquired is exposure to sunlight and can cause darkening of your pigment. For example, think of a suntan. So I'm born with this skin color. My parents were this skin color. That is coded in my DNA. Now, I can go outside and stand in the sun for about 3 minutes because of my hair color and my eye color, which were both part of my coding in my DNA, passed down from my parents, which were passed down from my grandparents. And I can get not just a suntan, because I don't get suntans. I get a sunburn. And I don't get brown. I don't get light brown. I get red. Red. Like my box of Band-Aids. So that is an acquired trait. I can go out and I can get a different skin color by standing in the sun. Now, the more I go out and the more I stand in the sun, maybe one day I'll start get a darker sunburn, but it really doesn't happen much for me. My sisters, they have a different ability. They're all my sisters, but they don't get a sunburn because they have a different hair color. They have a different eye color. Even within the same families, based off of what you get from your parents, the different parts of their DNA, you might get a different acquired trait if you were going to go stand out in the sun. I burn. My sister might tan. It depends. Advantages for survival. For some organisms, the variation in traits might provide an advantage in survival. Finding a mate or reproducing. These cornflowers have an inherited variation in color. One of these variations may offer an advantage by attracting more pollinators like bees and butterflies. Coneflowers are dependent on pollinators to help reproduce. A coneflower that attracts more pollinators because of its coloring will have an advantage to reproducing and will be able to pass on its color trait through DNA. Some interesting phenomena. Why do rock pocket mice have fur that match their habitat? Good question. Light-colored mice live on the light-colored rocks, and dark-colored mice live on the dark-colored rocks. Now, if we were in class, we'd have a lovely discussion about this, but we're not. So when I say, why do you think that is? Pause, think, reflect before we move on. But why would they have different coloring? Yeah, the predators, right? So why do rock pocket mice have fur that match their habitat? Mice adapt to their environments by matching their color to their surroundings for safety. Light-colored mice live on light-colored rocks, making it hard for the predators like birds to spot them, while dark-colored mice blend in with dark-colored rocks. This camouflage helps both groups avoid being seen, showcasing a natural survival strategy. How might this variation in color trait provide an advantage for this insect? Obviously, Miss Smith forgot to turn it on. A clapboard. Sorry. But what do you think? I will give you one extra bonus point if you can email me why you think this variation in color trait might provide an advantage for this insect. So, claims and evidence. Read the claims and find the claim and find the evidence or example from the lesson that support the claim. Inherited traits are coded in DNA and can be passed on from the biological parent to the child. What evidence or example did you find from the lesson to support this claim? Go back in the passage, my friends. We have talked about using text evidence. Go back in the passage. Find the text evidence where we talked about inherited traits being coded in your DNA and being passed on from your biological parents to the child. Is that true or is it not true? Go back in the passage, find your answer. All right? This is a short response. That means you need to respond with at least one, I'm saying one solid sentence. Okay? Starts with a capital letter, ends with the punctuation mark. Saying yes, inherited traits are coded in the DNA and can be passed down from the child. Because I found this here and it says it here, I used my text evidence. Or no, it cannot be, because in the passage, in our slides, it says it here, and here. This is what it says. Use your text evidence, guys. You are detectives. You need to go back and find your answers. With that being said, my sweet doodles and apple strudels. 1 second. Millie came for the beginning of social studies. Pouty Benjamin, Benny Boy, is coming for the end of science. As you can see, his adapted behavioral trait is a shy little boy. All right, have a great rest of your day. Do your work. Make sure you've completed your math TFAR. You've done your OLS work. You have no overdues, no unmastered. And when we come back on Monday, everything is just going to be wonderful and perfect. All right. I love you all. Benny, say I love you. Say I love you all, guys. Hasta la pasta.